This is Mrs. Reister with lesson 3.5, your turn number 1. For question A, we've got negative 10.5 divided by 7. So I'm going to set up my long division here. 10.5 divided by 7. I will look back at the end in my original problem to determine the sign of my answer once I have done the division. So 10.5 divided by 7. I know that 7 goes into 10 one time. And 7 goes into 35 5 times. And then I am going to, and I realize I made an error. The top should be a 1. As we said, 7 goes into 10 one time. My bad. And so now I have my 1 up above and my 5 up above, and I'm going to bring the decimal point straight up. There is no need to move it because I do not have a decimal in my divisor. So I've got 1.5, and now I'm going to look at my original answer, or my original problem, excuse me, negative 10.5 divided by positive 7. So a negative divided by a positive is a negative. Therefore, my final answer is negative 1.5. For question B, we've got negative 20.4 divided by negative 6. So I'm going to go through just the regular division here because I do not have a decimal in my divisor, so there is no need to move the decimal point in my dividend. I just need to move it straight up. 6 goes into 20 3 times, which is 18. 20 minus 18 is 2. I'm going to bring down the 4, and 6 goes into 24 4 times. So I've got 3.4, and now I'm going to look at my original problem, and I see here that I've got a negative divided by a negative. And I know a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So my final answer here is a positive 3.4. Now in part C here, we see that we have not only a decimal in our divisor, but also in our dividend. So we are going to have to move our decimal point. So I'm going to move my decimal point in my divisor 2 places to the right. So I need to do the same thing with 9.2. I'm going to add a 0 after the 2, and then I can move my decimal point 2 places over, and then I can move it straight up. So now I've just got 2 and 920 is what I'm dividing. So 920 divided by 2. 2 goes into 9 4 times. 2 goes into 12 6 times. Goes in evenly. Bring down my 0. 2 does not go into 0, so I put a 0 up here. So my final answer here is 460. And now again, I'm going to look at my original problem, and I can see here I've got a negative divided by a positive. So that results in a negative quotient. So my answer here is negative 460. And lastly, part D, we've got 0.28 divided by negative 0.7. So setting up my long division, I have a decimal in my divisor, so I'm going to have to move the decimal point in my dividend 1 place, and I can move it straight up, and now I'm ready to divide. 7 does not go into 2, but 7 does, however, go into 28, and it goes in 4 times, and it goes in evenly. So I can see here my final answer is 0.4. And now I'm going to look at my original problem. I have a positive divided by a negative, which is a negative. So my final answer here is negative 0.4.